Architect of icebergs, rainbows, jeweler of crystals, sand grains, snowflakes, atoms. Mason whose tools are glaciers, rain, rivers, oceans. Chemist who made blood of seawater, bone of minerals and stone, milk of love. Whatever you are, I know this. Spinner, you are everywhere. In all the ever-changing above, whirling around us. Yes, in the loose strands, in the rough weave of the common cloth, threaded with our DNA on the hubbed, spoked wheel that is this world, solar system, galaxy, universe. Help us to see ourselves in all creation, and all creation in ourselves in one another. Remind those of us who like connections, made with similes, metaphors, symbols, that all of us are, everything is already connected. Remind us that as the oceans go, so go we. As the air goes, so go we. As other life forms on earth go, so go we. As our planet goes, so go we. Mysterious muse who inspired, in the beginning was the Word, edit our thoughts so our ethics and our politics and our actions, so that our ethics are our politics and our actions, the afterlives of our words. Let's go ahead and rise in body or spirit to sing this hymn. And as a lifelong raised Unitarian Universalist, this is not Onward Christian Soldiers. This is forward through the ages, and it has always been and always will be, right?
Right.
Let's sing.
Hearts of one accord.
I've heard one thing, that some of you are here in spite of the Saints starting at noon. I also heard the score was 13-10. I know, I'm talking about yesterday. I was trying to see if you were awake. I know what I'm talking about. 13-10, did LSU football doing something or what, y'all? Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. My name is Reverend Chris Long, one of your ministers, your minister of congregational life. As we all know, Reverend Nathan is our senior minister. My pronouns of choice are he, him, his. I extend a heartfelt welcome to those visiting us for the first time. We are glad you have found your way to us here at this church. Whatever brought you here today, know that we are glad you are here. Please do come again and again to see if this, in fact, may become your spiritual home. To those joining us online for our live stream, because we're taping it again, good morning. Say good morning online. I confused the folks this morning. I was saying, having the people online say good morning, and I was pretending like I could hear them. We are also glad that you are here. Today, we have the great fortune of having Kevin and Maggie Credure joining us as they will be doing a recital this coming weekend on the 19th. Today, Kevin is providing special music for today's service. The recital next Saturday is titled Songs on Being Human, Empathy, Ethics, and Helping Relationships. The goal for the recital is to have participants have their own experiences of self-discovery, insight, and affirmation. It is a recital of classical music, lecture, group experience, and group discussion of diversity, equity, inclusion through the eyes of mental health providers. Please join us to celebrate the impact of empathy, articulating emotions, and building bridges of connection across cultural differences. Some local social workers will be here receiving continuing education credits for the recital, and it is open to all members, and there is a sign-up sheet that is out on the caring team table. It will take place here at the church from 1:30 to 4:30-ish. Please chat with me if you're interested in learning more about the recital, or do connect with Kevin and Maggie just for a little bit after the service, because they've been here for 2 of our services. I have some good news. Who was here for yesterday's gumbo cook-off? We heard there were 30 folks here. I guess you're wondering what the results might be. Only 2 of you were wondering. Okay, so I will give you the results. I have them here according to the high-tech gadget. Meme Aretsky wasn't able to... What? Oh, what did I say? Shoot! I've been practicing. Mim of the cookout wanted to share who the winners are. There are several winners, and then there's one overall winner. The winners are meat, number 2, seafood, number 6, vegans, number 3 and 8 were tied, and would like to add another category for the first-time gumbo makers. Let's give it up for those winners. And the drum roll for the overall winner. Can we do a collective drum roll, stoop front? The winner is number 1. Yay! So, as our first-time coordinator pointed out for us, in a slight misstep, she did not put the names with the numbers of the dishes. So you will have to contact her to get more information about it. I hear it was a... Well, do you know if you were number one? Nobody knows. So number one won, and we had somebody in the first service yelled for number one, and I thought it was them because they knew. Well, number one won, and you will have to contact MEM for further details. As always, please do... that is such a... Oh, I love it. Again, thank you all. I guess 30 folks were there. Let's continue to do those fun things that bring us together as a community. Please stop by the table to sign congregational cards for those who are celebrating an occasion, members who may be in the hospital or who have experienced the passing of a loved one. This coming first week of December, we will, as has been the tradition, volunteer as a church at the Holy Grill. If you're interested in participating in volunteering, please sign up also at the card table. Again, good morning. Good morning. I would like to welcome Kevin forward, who will be sharing one of the songs embedded in the recital this coming Saturday, Oh, Danny Boy. Kevin, let's give a warm welcome to Kevin and Maggie, but Kevin in this instance. Thank you.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when the summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with the snow. I'll be here in the sunshine or in the shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And when ye come and all the flowers are dying, and I am dead, as dead I well may be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me, and I will hear the soft your tread above me, and all my grief will warmer, sweeter be, for you will bend and tell me that you love me.
Thank you, Kevin, for such a very moving song. As we have shifted into a bit cooler temperatures over the last few days, let us start this morning by taking a few collective deep breaths for warmer community together. I invite us to take a few deep breaths together as we settle into this morning's prayer. Spirit of life, universe, Gaia, God. As many of us know, November is Indigenous Peoples Heritage Month here in the United States. Let us continue to take pause in our service to honor the indigenous communities whose lands we now inhabit. In this continued moment of quiet reflection, I would like to welcome into this space, as you may wish, our individual and collective ancestors. Ancestors who have made us all possible, even as we know some of our ancestors caused great harm to us. Harm from which we are still working to heal. Dear ones, there is so much going on within each one of us. Some gather this morning to celebrate a joy, an anniversary, or even a birthday. Let us honor the joy that is in our lives when it comes. And yes, as we know, it is also true some of us may be honoring a much harder anniversary. The passing of a relationship, the passing of a loved one, a pet, or the end of another terrible situation. We make space in our hearts to honor these anniversaries as well. As the results of local and national elections are all in except a few, we must hold that something maybe a bit positive has or is shifting within our political landscape. It is also true we still must do the holy work to ensure all oppressive systems and power structures that are still in place, that these power structures and systems, they know we are watching and are building capacity to act for justice as a faith community. Amen? As I am sure many of you are aware of, the cost of basic foods continue to rise. Not to mention the cost of gas is also still rising. I also heard this week that for some in our community, rent is also rising by hundreds of dollars, mostly impacting already deeply impacted low to very low income families. Let us hold space for this tide to change very soon. This coming week, I invite us all to make space in our lives to send thoughts and prayers to honor this year's Transgender Day of Remembrance. Our transgender siblings here in the U.S. and the world over are under attack and are being killed. May we, as this loving community, continue to make space in our hearts and minds to hold and work towards more love, justice, and mercy for all as we gather here in this place made sacred by our very presence. Amen.
So I'm going to go off script for a second as it relates to the stones that and the cards we're about to do. I want to tell you a little about politics in this church. This church will never, ever, ever endorse a candidate, nor should it. And anyone who's running for political office who wants to come in is always welcome to sit in the congregation and talk to people whenever they want, but not from up here. Also, we do not endorse partisan ideologies or any such thing. Period. Serving in the public is very difficult, and it's often easy for me as a minister to talk about how all the legislators don't get it, but it's very hard to actually go and serve. We were, I think it was 4 years ago, about 1,500 votes away from having 2 Unitarian Universalists on the Metro Council. Anyway, so as of this Tuesday, as part of the election, Dawn, you don't know I'm going to do this. We had a member of our church who served how many years on the school board? 6 years, and just stepped down. So can we just express an appreciation for your work? It has not been easy. Also, all of that buildup was not about any of the things Dawn voted for or didn't. It's just to say that it's not about endorsing a candidate. If all of you wanted to run for office, by the way, Metro Council School Board, we'd probably get a few of you in. Just saying. So, we have cards to sign. For those of you online, I don't know, we haven't ever figured out a way for you to sign the cards, but they're here and you can just send your loving thoughts to them. We have a number of people that we're thinking of. We are thinking of Jim Dellinger, who's recovering from a scheduled surgery. He's actually in Austin for the surgery. We're thinking of a friend of this church, Pam Lancaster, who is recovering from a stroke. We are thinking of Foy Lowe, who is now been placed in hospice. He's a longtime friend of this church. And we also are placing a stone for the brother of a member, Leslie Todd's brother, Cyrus Todd. He died this past week unexpectedly. Also, we are acknowledging that this week is the 50th anniversary of the deaths of 2 people at Southern University, Leonard Brown and Denver Smith, who were killed, I don't remember if it's police or military, but in the same way that it happened at Kent State about a little more than 50 years ago. And it often doesn't get acknowledged. So that 50th anniversary is coming up. This ritual we have is open to everybody, visitor and member alike. Those of you online, type it right into the chat. We invite those who wish to come forward either along the east or the west wall. Take a stone, let it represent whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your mind. Place it in the chalice bowl. We now invite those who wish to come forward as we place stones. And we say together, with hope to make this a better world, we light this flame Its light is a symbol of the power of love. For centuries, insiders have been democratizing their religions. Incremental moments of institutional reform have led to a new era of theological enlightenment. From out of ancient times into the twilight of now, these reformers have made a sacred vow to never mischaracterize freedom as a zero-sum game. True freedom is not jealous. True freedom is not envious. True freedom is not spiteful. True freedom does not desire to restrict the rights of others. I'm going to say that one again. True freedom does not desire, and I hope someone from the legislature is listening, to restrict the rights of others. True freedom knows not a selfish thought, knows not how to threaten. To sense true freedom is to know that your win is my glory and that your suffering is inextricably tied to my own. For the sum of all that is holy shines far beyond the tools of our evolving democracy, from party jingles to picket signs. The sum of all that is holy is found in our collective desire to know freedom, not as a political slogan, but as a way of life.
Again, good morning. Reverend Nathan, thank you so much for sharing today's first reading, Beyond the Zero-Sum Game. Also, as I'm beginning, I wanted to thank those of you who reached out to me last week while I was down with a bug. No, it was not COVID. Somebody has asked me that. It was just another bug. But I went to the doctor and he said whatever it was is behind me other than some congestion that I'm still dealing with. I continue to be in deep gratitude to you as a church for the ways you show up for each other and for me as we live into more of the beloved community. Again, some of the words from Reverend Walker's profound first reading. Quote, "To sense true freedom is to know that your win is my glory and that your suffering is inextricably connected or tied to my own. For the sum of all that is holy shines far beyond the tools of our evolving democracy, from party jingles to picket signs. The sum of all that is holy is found in our collective desire to know freedom," repeat this after me, "not as a political slogan, but as a way of life." This last statement is at the core of what today's sermon is about, specifically as it relates to our deep religious, theological, if you will, commitment to justice, compassion, and liberation for all, and yes, freedom. These values, as many of us know, are at the core of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist and a member of this congregation. Building our foundation, our justice story, moving into what is next is the title and theme for today's worship offering. Justice, not as a political slogan, but as a way of life, is one of the cornerstones at the foundation of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist, and, say it with me, and what is at the very foundation of the history of this church dating back some 70 plus years. For some of you, the justice narrative of this church is what brought you here some 30, 40, 50 or more years ago. And even today, almost weekly, I am hearing from visitors and new members who share our justice efforts are what also brought them here. From its start of working to be a racially integrated church, its unapologetic stance in support of a woman's choice to control what happens to her body, to rising up in coalition with any number of organizations whose values align with ours, to say, we will continue to rise for more justice, for more people, and for the planet, as it is our religious commitment. Do y'all believe this is our religious commitment? Yes. For heaven right here on this earth. Amen? Amen? In my past 4 months of being here in Baton Rouge and as a part of this church, I continue to be amazed at just what a beacon we as a church are in the larger community. Not from a point of we have all the answers of the world's problems, or that we still don't have a butt-ton of sacred, did I say butt-ton from the pulpit? From the pulpit, a butt-ton of justice making to, stop that laughing, I'm trying to preach. A butt-ton of sacred work, I didn't write that in my script, but we're gonna go with it anyway. Justice making work to do, but that's probably not good. The little kids are gonna be saying, Reverend Chris said butt-ton from the pulpit. But as a statement that some good, holy, if you will, work has been happening here for years. From its unwavering commitment to the Interfaith Federation of Greater Baton Rouge, to Together Baton Rouge, Planned Parenthood, the LGBTQAII community, the Holy Grill, Days for Girls, and a multitude of other organizations. The track record for being in the trenches of this congregation is profound and amazing. And, say and. Now, in this moment, in this city, in this country, the planet and the world are asking more of each and all of us in as sustainable ways as possible, even as we continue to co-create new ways of being post-pandemic. It's asking more of us all. Our larger faith tradition as Unitarian Universalists is inviting us as a part of this congregation. I'm going to pause and go off script a little bit. While I was away in October, I had a chance to preach in Birmingham, Alabama for our LREDA, is our National Religious Educators Association. I got to preach in Birmingham, Alabama after we went to the Legacy Museum from enslavement into incarceration and the amazing, searing memorial of the 4,400 names and locations that have been captured of people who have been lynched in our country. I got to preach there one weekend, and the next weekend, I got to preach at one of our congregations that's 1,100 members, where I got to preach 3 different times. This place is in the trenches, and our denomination is asking more of all of us, this congregation, to imagine a new ways to be in community, new ways of building stronger and different coalitions for justice making with our siblings who are working, living at the margins of our society in this community and have been doing this kind of justice making all of their lives as we aspire to live into these practices more fully. Yes, this congregation is known in the community for justice making, And as we continue to move into this old yet very new world, where we must avoid falling into old patterns of do, say do. We must avoid those old patterns and towards a people who will work to be. Say, do y'all know the difference between do and be? We'll talk about that over coffee. How can we honor the justice-making traditions of this church and our larger faith tradition in ways we have yet to imagine? Again, how can we honor the justice-making traditions of this church and Unitarian Universalism, which is not just in Louisiana, amen? UUism is all over the world. We're among hundreds of thousands of people. We need to imagine bold and new ways of justice making anew.
Come, you ancient pilgrims who find yourself on a journey of surprise and wonder. Come, you who emerge into this place as an act of liberation. Come, you who seek a life of mindfulness and a place to test your thoughts. Come, you who bring hearts of all kinds, heavy hearts, rusty hearts, hearts broken open in revelation, hearts full of love to share. Come, you who seek courage, and you who have more courage than you realize. Come, you who stand behind the curtain, gathering up the resources to claim the truth. Come, you who have been in a bubble, you who are poised for transformation. We begin our story again, gathering courage, love, mindfulness, and a sense of purpose. We gather as people of all ages, of different abilities, different backgrounds, and different perspectives. We share a covenant, a direction for our shared journey, and a commitment to encourage and challenge one another to spiritual growth. This path will ask much from us. Let us move forward with love. Let us move forward with appreciation for one another. Let us move forward knowing we are not alone. Whoever you are, whatever your gifts, you are welcome to join us on this journey.
The congestion is working itself out. Just happens to be right now. Again, those words from Reverend Lynn Cox. We begin our story again, gathering courage, love, mindfulness, and a sense of purpose. We gather as people of all ages, of different abilities, different backgrounds, and different perspectives. We share a covenant, a direction for our shared journey, and a commitment to encourage, say encourage, and challenge, say challenge, one another to spiritual growth. So many of you have given so much to build upon the social, racial justice narrative of this church. Amen? Moreover, some of you spend every day of your lives working and living at or near the margins of our society, as this is a congregation that covers the class realities of our society. Those who do work deeply committed to transforming oppressive systems do come here for rest and renewal, allowing even more of us to take up the justice charge. Y'all want to hear a little bit of the end of the service? I'm going to ask us if we'd be willing to commit to a holy justice strategy. Okay, a few of y'all, okay, you don't have to be convinced today, but a holy justice strategy, which I'll talk about. I'm just kidding. Be gentle with yourselves. For today's worship service, I've invited Kathy to share just a little bit about how our justice work shows up in our religious education classes and other programs. Kathy, as a part of the ministerial team with Reverend Nathan and myself, we are thinking through even more profound ways to continue to engage our children and youth to learn and build upon the spiritual religious skills needed to engage embodied justice making as they continue to grow even more into their Unitarian Universalist identities and in their ways of being. I have invited two among us, just two, because I could have 40 of you up here, of our OGs. Anybody know what an OG? Anybody know what an OG is? What's an OG? Oh! That came from the way, way back. Not old geezer. That is not what I was thinking. Original gangster. Who said that? All right, for the original gangsters. So these are not the original gangsters of that sort, but they are hardcore, longtime social justice guides, elders, if you will, in this church. I've invited them to share a bit about their social, racial justice journeys in the church and in the community. Ms. Suzanne Bess, I keep saying it wrong, Suzanne Bess and Mr. Bobby Thompson. Additionally, I've invited them to share just a bit about their hopes of what they see as next possible steps as we all journey into the coming weeks, months, years by keeping your hands on the plow for more justice, love, compassion, and yes, freedom. Kathy?
Morning, y'all. When Reverend Christ asked me to talk about some of the things that children and youth have done with regard to social justice or social action, I got curious as I thought about it, because I know that sometimes in a larger church, people aren't aware of all that's been done or who that's done it. And I also know that right now, as we come out of pandemic times, we're feeling particularly disconnected from what other people are doing, and that some things we used to do aren't possible, or we've changed the way we've done them. So I'm kind of curious how many folks know about the things that we've done in religious education in the 5 years. I can only go back 5 years because that's the stories that I know to tell. So I'm going to tell you some of them, and if they are things that you and your family have done, or if you have seen evidence of them, or if you knew about them, smile or wave or nod. Someone over here on this side earlier was nodding with everyone, and I'm like, yes, thank you. So smile or wave or nod if you knew about these things, or if you're curious about them, ask me after. So here's just a few of the things that we've done, either in RE classes or for our home ministries program. Displayed signs or flags about Juneteenth, or about Pride in windows at home or in church. Made activity bags for children of refugees on buses going through Baton Rouge. Created toys for animals in animal shelters. Raised money to donate to UNICEF at Halloween. Prepared materials for Days for Girls. Volunteered with our families at the Holy Grill or to buy gifts for the Kids Cafe, painted rainbows on faces or hands at Pride festivals. These things, when we do them in religious education or as ministry, they are done through the lens of living into our Unitarian Universalist values of compassion or equity or interdependence. Like one of the earlier readings said, we are bound together. What affects one affects all of us. And that's great, because with young children, those concrete things are how they make meaning, how they make sense, and how they begin their journey of commitment to social justice. And as a faith and as a community, we are moving away from doing things for people and moving towards building partnerships to work with others. Our church has done a great job of inviting children and youth over the years to participate in the social action work of this church. If we go back a few weeks ago, I talked about the Faith Formation Toolbox. Children and youth and adults need practices that help them stay grounded, community that supports and encourages them, connections that sustain and nurture them, and resources to keep growing and learning. One of the ways we do that in religious education is the process. We learn what we're going to do, we partner with others to do it, then we go and do the thing. We come back, we reflect, and we recommit to doing more based on what we have learned and what we have, how we have grown through what we've done. I would love to see that happen for our children and youth and our adults, that learn, partner, do, reflect, repeat. And my hope is that as a church community, lay leaders and staff working together will continue becoming a place where children and teens find the grounding and support to work on or for things that are deeply meaningful for them. People who see an issue and are called to work on it in a way that is both personally transformative and affects a larger change in the world around them, the world around us.
Good morning, friends. Good morning. I am really honored to be part of this service and talk about my role in social justice. And in a full disclosure, I am not a social justice leader. I am a member of the social justice team. I'm a member of congregational care and the disaster response team. Now, it was social justice leaders in this church that led me here. Reverend Chris specifically asked me to talk about the anti-oppression study group that's underway right now. We're doing our second run. Originally, Cappy Landreneau, Kathy Smith, and I planned to launch a book study on intersectionality, the framework for understanding the complex way that the many aspects of people's identities overlap to create different modes of discrimination, oppression, and privilege. And that includes race, gender, sexual orientation, and more. It would be consistent with this year's vision that is continuing our deep commitment to racial reconciliation and working toward a full implementation of the 8th principle that we affirmed this year, working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institution. Well, the publication of the book was put off for an entire year. So that's why the study group became a deep dive into the more and into the other oppressions, those that are not always on our radars. We use the Circle Way process to guide our sharing and reflecting, and we begin by looking at our individual identities to be able to process how we think about others, recognizing that anti-oppression work starts within. We use videos, articles, and listen to voices of others to better understand bias and systemic oppression and how we can respond. Working with the members of the 12 people in the group now and the 13 graduates, together we will come up ways to determine how we'll move forward. So stay tuned for that. This invitation from Reverend Chris really set off my, guilty pleasure to do research. Did you know that our church has an official historian and an archivist these are both volunteer positions. They've created together, they have created a record of over 70 years of our work to make this a better world. Only recently did I learn about the archives room. And that's where I went last Wednesday. And you know what? I'd probably still be there if Kathy, who was working late, hadn't suggested we leave and walk to the parking lot together. In my research, one quote, I guess, or commencement speech that really spoke to me was one done in 2013 by Syracuse Professor Saunders, in which he tells the class of 2013 to always err in the direction of kindness. That really resonated with me, and thinking about it, that probably explains the work that I do. But why did this speech go viral for so many? Why did it go viral? And why was it chosen as one of the top 10 of the year it was given? Oh, well, that just led to more research. And what I found in sermons, I Googled sermons, UU sermons, and I found many sermons in which the ministers addressed kindness, loving kindness, lots of wonderful quotes, but I am only going to share one with you today, and that is from Reverend Kimberly DeBus, who explained in the UU World in 2017 what kindness is. She says, kindness sees a need and offers to help. Kindness knows its privileges and uses them to build justice. It calls elected officials. It writes letters to the editor. It writes postcards, as many of you did for this election. It is what we do. It is showing up at marches, showing up at protests. It's holding a 3-week discussion of white fragility. It's offering the first Dialogue on Race series in 2019, participating in the first Baton Rouge Equity March. And you may not have known this, but in 1986, here at this church, we did a study series on our policies in Central America. And members of our church joined peace delegations to El Salvador and Nicaragua. I could go on and on. However, I think I don't have time, and some of the other presenters have mentioned some of those. I'll end with saying something else you may not have been aware of. When I first came to the church, we were holding silent vigils to protest the death penalty. And I'm proud to say in 2015, we posted Black Lives Matter on our pulpit, in our roadside pulpit. Kindness is not always easy, but kindness matters. The samplings that I used today were things that happened since I've been here. I've only been here since 1983. Many of you have been doing this work a lot longer. My first introduction to peace and justice work was with Bienvo House Center for Peace and Justice. And actually, my first gig was a peace rally at the Capitol, but the second thing I did was working with peace panels with some of you in the church. And we'd show up whenever, wherever we got an invitation. And one of those invitations was here, not here, there, because we were still in the fellowship hall. That was our sanctuary. And that morning when I looked around and I saw so many people that I knew from other peace and justice work that had found their home here, that's when I decided I would not leave, and I've been here I've been here ever since. The future is exciting for me. We've built so many partnerships in doing the work that we've done. I know that we will continue to add to them and nurture those relationships that we've already established. And one of the most exciting things for me the past few weeks is showing up at social justice meetings and seeing so many people I don't know. So many people who are ready to get to work. The last thing I want to say is what was really surprising and touching to me when I was doing the research in the archives room is that those two events, the peace panels and the peace rallies at the Capitol, also had members of the church and is included in the archives. So my parting words, check out the archives.
Well, it seems like a buttload of, can you say buttload? No, don't do that. A lot of what I was going to say has already been said, but I'm going to read this anyway. And for your information, back in the day, OG meant original gangster. And as kids flip things, it meant daring and courage. The biggest gangster thing happened when Emmett Till's mother decided to open his casket. That was a gangster event. I have always viewed Unitarian Universalism as a movement and not a sit-down religion. Like most of you, this is why I joined this church, to change the world. We say this every Sunday, to make this a better world. Do you realize what a commitment that is? But we as a church have taken on this challenge. It is the very foundation of this church. I became social justice team leader several years ago and served for about 10 years along with Jane Webb and Holly Haymaker. We worked for gun control, reproductive rights. We brought in speakers to educate us on several issues. We marched for gay rights. We went to the state capitol to stand with the Victor White family whose son was murdered by the police. We went to New Iberia and marched in protest of the injustice there. We unanimously voted to join Together Baton Rouge to get involved with the larger community's concerns. With them, we cleared out an African-American cemetery that was terribly overgrown. We got a bridge reopened that had been closed for more than 2 years. We helped save the bus company that the city was gonna just let die. But we went door to door, getting the neighbors to sign a non-binding agreement that they would show up and vote. It passed overwhelmingly. Even during the pandemic, David Lindenfeld and Janet Mulder kept the team together. I could go on, but the point is our very foundation is in social justice. We have become known as the church that shows up. This is where we are. Because I've viewed UUism as a movement, how I see the future of it and UCBR, we are not static. We evolve as truths and ways of being in relationship are revealed to us as an institution. I see in the future a large social justice team being facilitated by Abel Thompson and Megan Sheehan Dean, and I also see other young adults ready to take their place. I'm very proud that our church voted to adopt the 8th principle that takes on racism specifically and other oppressions in general. I see the 8th principle uniting us all and drawing more people of color and LGBTQ members to our church. We benefit from diversity. I see whenever we say in the 8th, a beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. We understand this is inside work, remembering that we all drank from the same cup of white supremacy. We will not all come to the same reasoning at the same time. I see our church as an institution being held accountable for providing a multicultural experience for our members. I see a black family, or a gay couple, or a family with a trans kid look up at our banner of 8 principles and know, as I did 30 years ago, when I looked up and saw the 7 principles, that maybe this was a place for me and my family.
So this month we are sharing our offering with an organization that is doing good work out in the world. This month we are sharing it with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. The reason we're going to do it, I had a whole bunch of different reasons. I was sort of splicing them out each week, and I wanted to. We're going to do something a little different than I had planned next week to announce it. But I'm all spun around. Here's what I'm trying to say. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee does something. They do a lot of really great work out in the community and all over the world, and they do it by building partnerships. But the reason I asked that the social justice team take it on in November and that I wanted it to be close to Thanksgiving. How many of you ever they stopped sending these out, these guest at your table boxes? Raise your hand. Yeah. Online people, I don't know if you're raising your hand. So they did, I don't know, back in the 80s and 90s and 2000s and even into the teens, they would send these boxes, and the idea was you would put it at your table, and you would you would all eat, but you would put the amount of money in the box as if there was another person sitting at your table. And every year, as a child, I'd have this box full of coins that we would then use to give to the UUSC. They don't have the boxes anymore, so we're going to try and replicate that through our shared offering. So anyway, I'll ask you to give very generously, as this afternoon's offering is gratefully given and received.
Now I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our next hymn.
Where you go, I will
sounding good this afternoon. It must be because it's warming up and it's no longer 38 degrees, right? Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Building our foundation, our justice story. What is next? Who knows what is next around our justice, what is it? Holy justice strategy. I almost forgot it myself. Say holy, justice strategy. Okay, last week, Reverend Nathan gave a sermon rich with his analysis of our Universalist history through the story of Reverend John Murray, that all souls are saved and that no one, say no one, no one is outside of an all-embracing love that is within the universe, and for some that is God. Reverend Nathan also gave a profound philosophical, even a religious view of the less than useful coded language of blue states, red states, especially as it relates to the really complicated justice issues of our day, specifically as it relates to us as people of faith, working with our power and privilege, as all of us have some, to dismantle oppression in all of its forms. As the election results continue to come in, if not almost all the way in except Georgia, which I think supports that we truly are more purple, if you will, than it has felt like for the last many years. How might we, through our love and action values, how might we try, not right away, but over the next many weeks, months, how might we try to have conversations with those in our spheres of influence that we love where there has been deep divide? How might we have those conversations that are within reach after not being able to for obvious reasons? How might we hold love close to cultivate the positive, reimagine a more just world through some relationships that we thought we have lost forever? Reverend Nathan also shared how critical it is for all of us as people of faith in this church in particular, that we must always, no matter who is in political power, hold those accountable that keep oppressive systems in place. Amen? We must keep our hands on the plow. I'm going to sing a little bit for you. Y'all ready? Yes. Keep your hands on the plow. Hold on. Say, hold on. Hold on. Y'all know this song? Hold on, somebody. Okay, we're going to be singing that at some point. That's on the choir list for a couple weeks from now. Keep your hands on the plow for more justice, compassion, liberation for more people. Amen? So what is it, or might it mean, as we continue to build upon the profound social, racial justice narratives of this church? What next steps might this mean for you, considering what you have done or may be willing to do towards our grand opportunity to create? What kind of strategy are we creating? A holy justice strategy. I'm gonna have y'all getting B pluses today. You don't get an A, you get a B plus. Holy justice strategies for our justice path in this new day post-pandemic. For as we know, the planet, a more authentic engagement in the racial discrimination and its segregation that exists here in Baton Rouge is calling us all to the table and to hold the powers that be accountable, not just for a good liberal transformation. Anybody here tired of just liberal transformation? Who here wants a radical justice transformation in Baton Rouge? I don't think y'all is ready. A radical transformation of our current policies impacting so many, even if some of us never feel the impacts. Amen? What more again as sustainably as possible? What more might we do to create sustainable, religiously, theologically based, coalition-centered justice here in the short and long term towards our, what's the name of our strategy? Y'all get an A+. See how that changed that fast? Friends, this church is on the move. On the move regarding social and racial justice efforts as a religious theological enterprise through our amazing lessons from today and our amazing OG, say OG? OG stories and yours that we have yet to create. Some of our OGs have labored long for more justice, a justice that needs each of us to commit and or rest and or recommit to this growing effort. Next Sunday during middle hour, our social justice team, who here has been to the last 2-3 months of social justice meetings? They are standing room only, y'all. Y'all didn't know that? They're standing room only because justice ain't waiting for us, right? And some of our folks are tired. The team is planning and organized towards what we aspire to do now and in the future. Are you willing to take on this call of our church and the larger Unitarian Universalist movement? Yes. We need to give some of our soldiers, as I've just said, some rest. Soldiers being S-O-U-L, say S-O-U-L, D-I-E-R-S. Do y'all like the way I spelled that? Our soldiers is tired. They need tired and they need some rest. So can we do this? How might we build broader, even less traditional coalitions, right, to let the work of building this new world that we aspire to be a possibility? Blessed be, amen, shalom, salam, and ashe. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn. We are building a new way.
To be free, hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, our world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Oh, I believe we have a group of Unitarian Universalists that are inspired for justice. Go knowing that you are saved and holy from birth. That don't mean we can't rest because we got some work to do, but know that we are part of a community and a larger faith movement that is working towards radical transformation. Have a great week. Be gentle with yourselves, even as we build new and different coalitions towards the beloved community. Ashe and amen.